What's up, Tube? Welcome back to Lego Eaters Chop Shop, second best gel blaster channel on the tubes. And today we are going to be working on the P320, M18, P320, whatever you want to call it. I don't know which variant this is. I think it's a WeTech, or at least a clone thereof a WeTech, or some variant of that family. It doesn't have branding on it, so I think this came from Watt Tactical, from what I can recall. Anyway, today we're going to be working on this because it has a bit of a lazy hammer. So see that? It didn't even cock. It did, but it released itself. Yeah, see, that time. So if you really slowly release it, but if you cock it, and so you can see that. If you cock it and then hear it, it just slam fired. So yeah, basically there's a spring or something in the hammer group that is going to need replacing. And to be fair, when I've looked at this, it was pretty worn out in the hammer group. So I'm just going to be replacing the whole hammer group with new parts. I've got new parts here. Unfortunately, it is all disassembled. So I will have to assemble it before putting it in. It would have been good if it was a straight swap, but some monkey decided to disassemble it before handing it to me. Okay, so I am going to start with, I guess I'll start with tearing this down. Tearing this down, sort of got to there we go. Pop that off. So you rack it to cock the hammer down and then twist this to release, and that gets your slide and barrel out. Now, I'll probably give that a little bit of attention later on, but for now, what I'm looking to do is remove this hammer group. Now, this particular blaster is actually pretty cool in that it's relatively easy to remove the whole action. It's a little bit more complicated than a Glock in the way it works, but very similar. Like you can see the hammer group even looks a bit similar, but it all sort of comes out in one piece. The trigger, the hammer, everything, all the action comes out in one piece. So I'm going to do that right now. Alright, let's get you right down in here. There's a Phillips head screw right here. So we'll just pop that one out. There is also a tiny Allen key on the safety. Don't think I need to remove that just yet. I think I can remove that later. But this pin slash takedown lever can just slide out. Put that aside. And now we can access that screw, and everything else should sort of slide out. Alright, so Phillips screw there. It's a number 2 Phillips. Don't be tempted to use a number 1. I'll set that one aside. Now this whole thing should pop out now, in theory. I feel like it might be easier to remove these safety levers first, but you don't need to. Look at that. This whole frame gone, done. And that's the whole assembly. So the trigger can just come away. This trigger bar and the spring. Just pop the spring out. The bar aside, don't need them. And pop this front pin here, and then the slide catch and release can be removed. There's another pin down here which is holding this bar. I might need a punch for that. I'll get a punch. So far so good though. Alright, just gonna knock that pin out, set that aside. Now this safety uses a tiny, like I think it's a 0.9 Allen key. 0.9? Yeah, 0.9. So I actually bought this tiny little set of Allen keys just for these situations. Oh, actually, it's slightly bigger than the 0.9. What's this? 1.27. Yeah, there you go. So it's actually it's just smaller than a 1.5. I have lots of 1.5s because I think the 1.5s are the ones that commonly get used for hop-up adjustment. But the 1.25, slightly smaller one, not very common. Alright, so now this bar can come away, and I'm almost... Okay, so there's actually a little detent spring here for the safety. I think I'll actually just leave that just chilling there until I knock this next pin out. This one here. Noting it does need to come through this side because it is knurled that way. Alright, now taking care of your little detent spring that will pop out now, you can remove, and the spring, that one, if you watch that one, the little spring there just pinged away. Don't lose that like I just did. Situation normal, all good. Alright, now if you had your whole hammer group assembled, you could just pop that new one right in now, but I don't, so we're gonna have to now look into that next. Alright, I located that little spring. There it is. Don't lose it, it's a tiny little one. Just sits in there like that, and with that spring removed, you can actually remove that piece as well. Although, to be honest, we don't really need to do anything more with this because basically all the parts I've got in the new group will replace all of that. This group was exhibiting some signs of wear, but I think probably the spring, in particular this one, this spring here, is probably the weakest link. So let's put that one aside. I will need to reuse that little spring that pinged off, so lucky I found it. I think I will also need this detent spring, because the new one doesn't appear to have that or these pins. Alright, so keep all that stuff aside. I will probably use some of it. Alright, now the most annoying part about this is the actual striker, knocker, whatever you want to call it. The part that hits the valve has to sit inside this piece with this pin through it and with this spring on it, but inside there. So that's going to be the fun part. So this all has to go down in there, obviously without that pin, and then I've got to manage to slip that pin in while pushing the tension onto that spring and feeding the knocker through that hole. Fun and games. There's probably like an easy way to do this, and if there is, feel free to let me know, because I don't know what it is, and it's a struggle. Alright, after much fiddling, I think I finally got it where I need it. Almost. Oh, okay. Oh man, almost had it, and then this bit fell out. Almost made it. I don't think I can get that in. Alright, well, we'll just have to... Oh no, I can. Alright, just. Okay. Now, this little spring here has to now hook into the back of this guy. This is a bit tricky. No, I just had to do that off camera because it was super tricky. But this spring here has to hook inside on the back of that. Alright, now with that taken care of, that pesky spring, I'm actually going to give all the moving parts like a liberal coating of grease, just so minimize the wear and tear. You can actually see on the old one which parts wear out and where it would be best to have the grease. But I'm gonna thoroughly paint a good layer of grease on all the moving parts in there before I pop it back in. Alright, plenty of grease applied. I like to be fairly liberal with the grease, and then just sort of wipe off any excess that might be around the outside of it. Try and get this back together without losing that little spring. And don't forget also we've got the little detent on this side that hangs out here. It's just got to sit on that little bit before it goes in. Alright. Put this pin in here. Might have to give it a bit of a whack. And everything now should go back in the opposite order that it came out. This bar here actually tucks in underneath this spring as well. So like the actual hammer spring assists in resetting this bar. So make sure you pop that in behind there. It might need a little finagling. It needs to just, there we go, pop down behind that. That'll tuck nicely in there, and that round sits around that shaft. Right, everything else is fairly self-explanatory from here, just putting it back together the way it came out. I can't even remember the exact order. Don't know if this needs a little bit of a knock, but I'll give it a bit of a knock. Sounds good. This is the trigger bar. Oh, I think safety first. Safety first. Safety first. Always safety first. So I think if I pop these bits back on the safety. Now this little spring here is actually the detent for the safety, so you gotta make sure that pops in, because it rolls over this little cam in here. Like that. So that's got to go in there like that. And then of course you get your tiny Allen screw, Allen head, Allen key. That's the word I'm looking for. And just torque that one back up again. Now the trigger bar has this little spring on it. That goes here. So this spring actually hooks under here. And then the back of it actually clips into that little hole there. Like that. Now, trigger just pops in here, and then that little bar there just joins on there, and that's that's it. I'm just going to put a little bit of lube around the moving assembly here, and then I can see a bit of wear here, so I'm just going to, anywhere where I see a little bit of wear, I'm going to just paint a bit of grease on. Alright, well, time to get this back in the frame. Alright, so this should be as simple as dropping back into the frame and putting the screw in, although that rear section has to go in first. Okay, so just got to make sure that rear bit goes in first, so it tucks in there. Make sure that pin stays put. And the rest of this should, hey, slide in like that. Beautiful. Alright, now just that little bar, just got to paint a bit of grease on it too. Now that bar that goes down the side here actually has the spring which retains this, so might help to just release the tension on that just a little so that you can pop that back through, and then alright, we should be good to pop our Phillips head screw back in there and pop the slide back on. Job done. Only one screw and a couple of pins and the whole thing comes out. That's a pretty neat little design. Like, in terms of maintaining it, it's quite nice. It's a little bit, there's a bit of finagling and holding your tongue the right way to get everything to slide back in, but yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, so now the slide should just slide back in. Just make sure that it's fully seated all the way back here, and then if you slide to this point, you can see there's a cutout in the slide for the release pin there, and if you find the right spot, it should just flick back in quite easily, and good to go. And a piece of the slide just broke off. Oh, that's brilliant. A piece of the slide just broke off. Super quality. Yep. Alright, so check this out. A little chunk of the slide there just broke off. Just there. Cool pistol, bro. I guess the next on the agenda is a slide upgrade then. It's just got a new hammer grip. The trigger feels good. But the slide, broken. I think I have heard in the community that actually hairline cracks and that slide breaking there is actually quite common on these. It's just funny that it happened right in the middle of my video. Hilarious. Alright, well, that's it for tonight. For the hammer group upgrade. And I guess maybe I'll see you in another video where there's a slide upgrade. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, all that sort of good stuff. Patches, if you are interested in getting a patch, please hit me up on the face page, Low Guido's Chopters. These are, I've still got a few left. I will not be getting any more made after that, so they are limited. So if you don't have one, get your hands on one now. Good time to do it. Alright, and if you do want to support my channel without buying a patch, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. Shout outs to Adam Hoy, who bought me a coffee. Cheers, mate. Alright, and catch you later. Peace.